Had to do an adjustment there. Sorry about that. Okay, everybody. I'm posting links to stuff. Posting links to stuff. Hold on, let me make sure my mic's in the right spot. Hello, Emerald City. How you doing? What's happening? I constantly do that joke. It's not even that funny. Where did I put this? There it is. Did I put it here? Yes, I did. Copy. Oh, yeah. I haven't played Jaws on this channel in quite a while, but I still describe it as such. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The answer is it doesn't matter. Truly does not. Did I put I did not put a space there. There we go. Okay, let me jump over to the other thing here. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Oh, no. Retweet. Retweet. I have retweeted myself. If you ever want to make sure that you have social media traction, create 2 accounts. And then you'll always have yourself to thank for something. Isn't that nice? Little tip from someone who knows nothing. Getting a sip of water right now. Delicious. Amazing. Amazing. That water can taste so good while simultaneously tasting like nothing. Okay, let me... Why is this thing in my way? Hold on. Okay, I got it. Oh, there we go. Got it. Okay. I couldn't figure out why there was a window stuck in front of something. All right, let me give this a few minutes because I just sent all the tweets out, so I will give people time to show up here. We're going to do... Before I get to it, let me review something. Yeah, I think we're going to go back to the eyeballs tonight. Actually, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe I'll finish out the zombie iPod, which won't take long, and then jump over to it. Because I do feel like maybe it'd be nice to do a little bit of completionist stuff on that, you know, kind of finish it out. That wouldn't be the worst thing. So maybe I will do that. Just looking at some of the line work in the background here. Yeah, I like this one. This one's going to go up on a shirt this week. Just have to do the text. I'm not going to do the text on the stream. That's kind of boring. I don't think text is particularly exciting to look at. Sorry, I'm sort of moving the mic around here, so I apologize if it gets a little boom, 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 bumpy. Shouldn't. I should be done now. I'm just looking at the old zombie hand. What will come next? I think for my next one, I'm going to do a zip drive disc or a jump drive disc. What did they used to call those? There was zip drive. Oh, there was another one. What was the competing technology? Let me think about this. What was the competing technology to the zip drive? Because I always loved the zip drive. I always found it to be very fun. I thought it was a neat thing. It was kind of big, fat floppy disks. Let's see. Zip drive, removable floppy disk storage system. Yeah. What was the other one? There was a competitor. Oh, that's the one I had. The Zip 100. I remember that thing so clearly. Oh boy, zip drives. Man. Yeah. Boy, do I remember these things. Zip drives. But there was a competitor. It was like Zip and something else. I don't remember what the other one was. The original zip drive. Yeah, I remember that. Who was the competitor? There was a competitor. Who was it? There was... let's see. Who were they competing against? There was another popular brand. I remember that. Sales. Let's see. Zip. Mm-hmm. No, they had a neat name, I thought. That was Zip and one other person. Is it not? Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I could have sworn... The Jazz Drive. That's it. J-A-Z. The Jazz Drive. That was the big... I remember that Jazz Drive was the... You know, I think that was kind of what they tried to make as a bigger version of it. I never got one. I remember they were around, but... I seem to remember when the Jazz Drive came out, it was kind of on the... You know, the zip drive itself was sort of ending. I do remember the zip drive. I had this big blue Zip 100 drive. Man, I loved that thing. I did, even though it only worked, I'm going to say it worked 70% of the time, which when you're talking about storage for your files, is not a great ratio. But oh yeah, the zip drive, man. I had the zip drive. I mean, I had that thing in a box for years, even after I'd stopped using it, and I could not bring myself to get rid of it because there was something so appealing, I don't know how else to put it, about this big, just fat blue. Sorry, I'm yelling. I don't know why I'm yelling. I'm not tired. This big, maybe because I'm casting my memory so far back that it's taxing my brain cells. This big, fat blue zip drive, man. Oh, it was great. Oh, hold on. Welcome to the two people here. Let me hit my little intro thing then, since there's actually people here. Hold on. Sorry about the noise. Jeez. No, I'm sorry all my alerts are going off in the background. All right, let's go ahead and get my little intro video playing so that we can get something going here. Yeah, the zip drive. I don't know what made me think of the zip drive. I happen to think of it. Why did I think of the zip drive? Oh, because that's probably going to be... I don't know why I've got a case of the yawns. I'm not tired. Whatever. The zip drive is going to... What does that little button do? Play. Playing. I don't know what that means. Sorry, whatever I hit play for, I don't know what hit play means. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so I think the next media thing I'm going to do after the iPod will be the zip drive. A zip disk. Because I always liked the zip disks. Even though, like I said, they really were not reliable. But whatever. Okay, here we go. So, I wasn't going to actually finish this, but I think I will. Because, you know, there's not much left. You can see most of it is done. Got all the blood, everything is done. I was saying I won't do the text up here. I'm going to leave that. Instead, we'll do some little accent details in this. And then we'll jump over to the eyeballs. So let's go find our accent line layer. Not that one. Let's do the other one. Didn't I have another one? Did I make it this one? No. Where's the one with the lines? There it is. Layer 52. Okay, so here we go. Let's just do... We'll do some more accent details, right? So we'll put this here. We're going to put this up like this. Yeah, I think a zip drive will be a fun one to do. I haven't even thought about that in so long. They were fun, though. I like the zip drives. There was a really satisfying noise to them. They had a very nice sonic quality because when you would eject that thing, it was a very thick... I don't know. The whole thing was just like a fat floppy drive, top to bottom. And so when you ejected it, it made this really satisfying kind of clicky thunk sound. But I can't. I mean, I'm sure somebody somewhere. Whoops. Somebody somewhere, I'm certain, has that sound effect available. If you want to go find it, eject a zip drive ejection sound, and go look that up. It's fun. Actually, I don't want those lines for in here. I'm gonna make more of a fold. Do that. Don't like to do lines on top of lines. Just not aesthetically pleasing to me, but these are basically just little ways to give the eye more things to see inside the image. A little bit of activity here. I gotta be careful with this one. I want to thread that one kind of evenly. There we go. So, you know, just little things to counter accentuate. That's not a word. To what's the word? To compound the accentuation of the accent lines. I think that technically makes sense, even if it's garbage English. Whatever. I don't pretend to have any command of my native language. I really don't. Truly, how many of us do? I mean, in the United States, we all speak kind of garbage versions of English. It's not even English, really. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's not the King's English, that's for sure. English is one of those weird languages. It just keeps evolving in strange and weird and wild new ways. Many of them confusing to me because I'm not hip enough to be on top of the lingo of the youth anymore. But even when I was younger, it's not like I really had any idea what the hell anybody was saying. It's always kind of on Planet Joe for all intents and purposes, better or worse. Although I was never an unpopular kid. I was never a popular kid. I was never an unpopular kid. I think the only reason I kind of skated through was because of my artistic ability. People wanted you to draw stuff. There's always something neat about the guy who could draw stuff. That's the only reason I probably didn't get shoved into a locker more often. because I certainly never had and still don't have any appreciable social skills. How I ever met and dated women ever is a mystery to me. I don't know. I don't think I'm a particularly good-looking fellow. I'm not particularly smart. I can draw. Maybe that was enough. I do actually, I should say, this is such a weird thing because I can't put this together in my head, but you know, I also am well aware that every person determines their weird thing that they, not weird, shouldn't say weird. Every person determines the thing that happens to rev their motor. I do remember because when I was in high school and, let me think for a minute. I think for a while when I first started going to college the first time, I played the drums for a while. I was never particularly good. I talked about this a little bit in the last stream. But I do remember one of the women that I dated, the one I dated for the longest prior to my wife, she always liked my forearms. My forearms did something for, and I mean, I'm not like Popeye or anything, so I don't truly understand that. Like I said, everybody has whatever their thing is. So, oh no, what did I do there? Did I accidentally erase that? Yes, I did. So yeah, that's what I mean about I can't attribute my ability to skate through high school without too much mental or physical damage to anything other than my ability to doodle stuff. Everybody wants you to doodle something. Usually something crude about somebody they don't like, and you know, when you're aware of the fact that you are on thin social ice with the ruling classes of the high school, you pretty much just do what keeps you from getting noticed negatively. So fortunately I was able to accommodate many requests for images that would be deemed not so pleasant by those who were depicted in them. But as I said, that was what was necessary. Ooh, no, that's a bad wrinkle. Did what was necessary to get through. So, yeah, I don't know what triggered that thought. What the hell did trigger that thought? I don't know. I don't know what triggers any of my thoughts. I have a strange brain in this skull of mine. Don't really understand why I think certain things, why I fall down certain rabbit holes, any of that kind of stuff. You know what? Honestly, I don't know if there's much more to do on this. I kind of like this where it is. I don't want to overdo it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to do on this one. I really don't. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the other one. Hold on a minute. Let me change this. Where's the eyeballs? First I have to locate. Okay, fine. Here we go. All right. Now we're back. Okay, so, oh, yeah, I was going to. Let me change my orientation real quick. 2 seconds, please. I'm going to do this thing where I'm going to say, where is it? Automatic. I want to do force landscape. Hold on, let me see. Is that right? Force landscape, right? It is. Excellent. Okay. All right, let me get out of the settings of this. Sorry about that. Okay. Now I'm back to widescreen, as you can see, because now we're back to the eyeballs. The eyeballs! Hello, eyeballs. Okay. Let's take a look. All right, so I think I was using this. I was probably using a much smaller size. Maybe not much smaller. Hold on, let's take a look. That looks about right. Yeah, okay. So I used... All right, so I think I'm going to go with... Oh, no, I already did them. I already did all these. Okay, wait a minute. All right. Just, sorry, bear with me a minute. No, I'm not going to do one there. Okay, so let's do some cleanup. Let's clean up these eye lines. Yeah, these. Let's grab... No, not the paintbrush. This might even be too thick. Yeah, I don't really trust that. Okay, well, let's drop out. We don't need the... Could go nice and clean here. Now we can switch back to this. We're going to drop this down a bit. So we'll knock this down to... Actually... 3. Okay, we're on paint? Yes. So there we go. I'm comfortable with that. It's always a risk when you're doing eraser stuff that you're going to erase some of your actual lines, which is easy to do, believe it or not. Very easy to do. But, sorry, this is probably going to be a pretty boring portion of this, but this is the process. This is how I work. So for those who are actually interested in how things get done, this is my method of working. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh boy, did I discover a mistake. Hold on a second. How did I do that? Hold on. Did I accidentally put a line somewhere? Oh, okay. I need to see the blob lines. All right, that's fine. That's fine. For a minute, I didn't know what was going on for a minute. But I think I have to sneeze, so I'm going to mute my mic so I don't sneeze into it. Whew, okay. All right, so I do need those lines. All right, so let's find these. Where are we? Ah, right there. Okay, so let's take this. Yeah, I do need the blob lines because that explains why that was missing. Yeah, I saw some more. I don't know how many people saw this, but apparently there was a art festival, I believe, in Britain, maybe? And they invited a artist who apparently they hadn't bothered to, an NFT artist, which should have been a gigantic alarm for people, an NFT artist, who it was found was tracing over other artists' work. Whoops. Yeah. I mean, tracing over like Jamie Hewlett's Tank Girl artwork. I mean, in ways that are stupid. You know, it's a pretty... Tracing of certain things is pretty well known, or copying, you know, and has been a debated topic for a while. But when most people are kind of going back and forth on tracing, they don't usually mean that kind of tracing. They usually mean, because I saw an artist, I think I've told this story before, 2000 AD artist who took some photographs of paint cans. So paint cans and some soda cans, and he arranged them so that he could get, you know, a perspective on a future city he wanted to draw. And then he basically went over the raw forms of the cans to create the building shapes. And then, you know, that was as much as he traced, and then did the rest kind of, you know, from imagination, the actual detail work of the buildings, you would say. And there are people who think even that's wrong, and I could not disagree more. I don't think, you know, not all artists command all aspects of art, and so that's the kind of tracing where it's like, okay, yeah, you're getting a little too high and mighty on what you think is right or wrong. But tracing over another artist's work, especially another illustrator, because I've seen people get into it over, you know, if using, and not even tracing, but using a photograph that you find in, let's say, a magazine or something as a template for your artwork. So I'm not even talking about tracing over a photo, which that's an interesting discussion. That's actually kind of an interesting, you know, then you get into the idea of what's transformative or not, and what does transformative mean, and, you know, who can determine what is transformative, which I think those are all interesting discussions, and I don't know that there is any clear-cut answer on it. I really don't, because there are people who will say that, you know, I'm not really an Andy Warhol fan in terms of his artwork, but I think he was sued, actually. I'm pretty sure. Did Campbell sue him over the can cans or the soup cans? I can't remember. But that's kind of one that's brought up many times as an example of, okay, it's a transformative work. Oh, no, it was Prince. I think it was Prince, the photographer who took a picture of Prince, and then Warhol did recolorization and some contrast work on it, and, you know, sold it. And so the photographer sued, and I think lost, because it was considered a transformative work. And that's an interesting, you know, this is something I should run by Aunt Pruitt, and I will do this on Twitter after I finish this stream. You know what? Actually, I'm going to do it right now, because I'll forget. That's the reality of it, guys. I'll forget. So let me do this right now. Hold on a minute. Sorry, I'm going on the tweeters here, so bear with me a minute. Aunt Pruitt. Oops. Aunt Pruitt. Jeez, I'm so bad. As a photographer, curious on your opinion as far as transformative works. Let's see. Hold on. Sorry. This is I'm terrible for doing this. Prince, photo, Warhol. I almost said war suit. What the hell is a war suit? Well, I'm sure there are such things as war suits. Prince versus Andy Warhol. Ah, ha, 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 found it. Let's see. Andy Warhol was part of executive. Okay. Pop car. Okay. Photographer Lynn Goldsmith discovered that Warhol's Prince series. Here it is. Let me copy this. Okay. Curious on your opinion as far as this story and the nature of transformative works. There we go. So, bang. I will ask a photographer. As a photographer, curious on your opinion as far as the story and the nature of transformative works. But we'll see what he has to say. Okay, sorry. Slight detour from the stream for that, because I actually have somebody I can ask who I know will respond in an honest way. And that's always valuable. So, we will see what he says. And if he responds during the stream, I shall read it live on air. Because honestly, I can see both sides of that argument. I understand the idea of transformative. Now, in this case, I should say, so in the Warhol case, as far as I could tell from what I saw of it, if the pictures that were accompanying the story were accurate, which you now have to caveat everything with, if in fact the images that accompanied the story were correct, it certainly appeared that what Warhol did was take this photo of Prince and actually, if it was, I wonder when that's from, because I don't know when Warhol died, so it had to be before he died. It looked like it was a pretty early photo of Prince. I mean, Prince has been had been around for a while. So, in any event, there is a inherent tension. Because there's of course people who, Steve Jobs used the quote of good artists copy, great artists steal, which I'm sure many great artists would have an issue with his phrasing there and what he's basically saying. But there is something to that. There is a discussion, a debate, at least a examination to be had on the fact that almost no work is truly original to begin with. Let's start there. For example, there's a very famous kind of line about songs and songwriting, that there's really only 7 songs. There's only 7 themes, and all songs are variations on those 7 themes, or maybe even less. I don't remember. And to some degree, that's true of art too. Is all art is generally, most artists build on the backs of others in some way, whether it is through their artistic ability or style, if you want to go that way, or the fact that many artists learn from literal imitation, which is to draw from life. Well, that's copying. I mean, not copying in a way that I think is bad. I'm just saying that if you look at an apple and you draw okay, here, I'll give you an example, right? Here, why I like doing this, I don't know. But okay, so I'm going to look at something. Let me look at something that's right in front. Okay, here we go. Now, this is very rough, obviously. Helps to have a pen, right? So right now, I'm looking at the Spider-Man statue that my wife got me, which is one of the best things anybody's ever bought for me. It's Spider-Man in the black suit. It's a Bowen statue. It's about 14 inches tall. It is magnificent. I mean, my wife's ability to get me things that are just lifelong treasures is unmatched. So anyway, I'm looking at this, right? So, okay, so looking at it, and I'm obviously doing this very freehand and rough, and there's some shadow on it, so I can't get it exactly right. But this is something that, let's assume this was a nude model and not Spider-Man, okay, for the sake of argument. But let's just go ahead and do a little bit of quick work on this, right? So this would actually be a good example of something where you would be studying shadow. So, right, I'm looking at this thing, and I'm drawing it, and again, not necessarily very well, because I'm doing this very, very freehand and quickly, and without any, and it's a black statue, so with low light, I definitely did not elongate his face enough. But anyway, right, so that right there, let's say that was on a piece of paper. Let's say it was on a little Post-it note. Let's put a rip there. It's a little Post-it note, right? I drew it in a diner and I put my initials on it. And I called it, I don't know, let's do this. AM for Arachnoman. And somebody bought this for $2 million. That would never happen. But somebody decided to hand over, right, a big wad of cash for this, right? Now, that's a derivative work. Number one, it's a copyrighted character. I mean, you'd have to know the black suit Spider-Man, but a lot of people do. Obviously, it would be a lot easier to tell if I used a classic Spider-Man costume. But this is a derivative work. It is, because I'm looking at something that exists that was made by an artisan. I assume this was based on a sketch. I don't think this is, or, actually, well, no, because it would have been licensed. Never mind, that argument is ridiculous. But I'm looking at this, so it's a derivative work. Now, if I do, right, so this is where you get into the fun, quote-unquote fun. So, right, let's take all this out. That's just a derivative work, but it's also how a lot of us learn to draw, is to look at other artists or something in life and imitate it, right? Okay, so let me use my other brush. Let me just do this way, right? Okay, so let's just do this. All right. Now, what if? What if I give him little wings coming off, right? Got some wings, and I give him googly eyes that are like that, so he looks silly. And we give him, let's take his mask off a little bit. So what if we pull the mask up, right? Put the mask up, and now we've got his, goofy, stubbly face here. And I go this, and I give him a pipe, right? And in that pipe, we'll give him a little bit of a nose here, and we'll give him some definition on his old chin. All right, out of the pipe comes some smoke, right? And in that smoke is, let's see, I don't know. Let's make it a smiling sun. In the smoke is a smiling sun. And I call this, I'm going to abbreviate it, pleasure in the pipe. Now, is this still a derivative work? Is this transformed enough? Even if you recognize, how much do you have to remove to make it a non or a derivative work? If I take the googly eyes out, actually here, I'll go you one better, right? So if I do this, right, and I take all the black out, right, and I take all the black part of the costume out, and I change it to the traditional Spider-Man, right? Which is very obvious. Everybody knows the Spider-Man outfit. So I do the webbing. Okay, now I make the eyes on the traditional costume a little more blacked out, right? But this is now the traditional Spider-Man outfit. Is that now too derivative because it's recognizable as Spider-Man in a more obvious way? I don't know. This is the nature of this thing about derivative versus original works. I don't know. I don't have an answer, but I find it to be a fascinating discussion. I think it's really interesting to get into that and try to determine, because, like I said, I was in college, I took figure drawing. I think it was called figure drawing. They're like figure drawing 3 or something. And in that class, we had nude men and women who were paid to come in and model, and we would draw based on them. That was how you learned the figure. Now, if I were to turn around and sell one of those drawings, some of them were good. Some of them, I don't know that I would actually sell any of them, but let's say somebody saw one and said, "Ooh, I'd like to buy that." Or somehow it ended up on a Christie's auction. Does that individual who posed, now, I'm sure they signed something, blah, 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 blah. Oh, did I not do all the eyeballs? Did I assume that I did and I didn't? Am I an idiot? I think we already know the answer to that one. I am an idiot. Oh, boy, am I stupid. Sorry, everyone. I thought I was stupid. Yeah, I'm sitting here rambling. I haven't even finished what I was working on. All right. Anyway, yeah, so does that person, do I owe that person something? After all, the drawing didn't come from nowhere. And especially with a figure drawing, right? If I'm basing it on a model, it doesn't even really involve much imagination, right? Because I'm drawing what's there. I mean, don't get me wrong. You do as an artist generally, unless you are somebody like Alex Ross who is trying to represent reality nearly exactly, you do add your little flourishes. Most of those drawings I think I did with charcoal. Maybe I did some with, different types of actual pencils. But they're not drastically artized. There's not a lot of flourish to them, as far as making them something. Oh, I got an answer from Ant. Okay. Well, let's see. Hate this stuff, but I see how the legal... Okay. I'm going to read this verbatim. But I see how the legal stuff draws a distinction with a very fine line. I wish photo licensing was similar to how musicians sample other artists, hooks, riffs, etc., and pay a fee for a sample, or at the very least get written approval to do so. Thanks for the... All right, let me thank him. Thank you. Actually, this question came up organically in my art stream, and I'm reading this answer there right now. Appreciate it. This is the most psychotic of things about how media works now. This question came up organically in my art stream out of my brain, addled brain, and I'm reading this answer there right now. Okay. All right. So, thank you, Aunt Pruitt. By the way, if you don't know who Aunt Pruitt is and you're interested at all in photography, you should go and... I interviewed him on my show, my podcast, which is over at ozonenightmare.com. A little bit of promo, which I almost never do. And I would encourage you to go watch Ant's show that he does every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific. Wonderful human being. Had a great conversation with him. And just extraordinarily interested in helping people get better at what they do. Very pro-creation. And I've actually learned a lot from his shows. So that's Hands-On Photography is the name of the show. And it's over on twit.tv. And if you want to hear the interview I did with him, you can hear that over at ozonenightmare.com. At the top of the screen, you will see a little menu. And in that menu, there will be something that will say categories. And if you click on categories, you will see something that says late night. And if you look through there, the last one should be with Ant. And you can listen to that. We did a two-parter. It was a very good time. And I will invite him back at some point because I just had a good time talking to him. And I think we had a very fun conversation reminiscing about age and the things that change and you notice with age. So, and that's the kind of thing I like about Ant is he gets back to you and he's honest about stuff. So, yeah, this is it really is, this is a multi-level statement about a lot of different things, at least how it works in the United States, but sadly I think it is the same in this respect everywhere. There are problems that are uniquely American. I don't think this is one of them, I'm sad to say, but it should not be that art and creation have to exist in the ways that they do in terms of ownership and compensation. I mean, it really, one of the most depressing things, and this really is one of these things that I almost don't like to talk about because it really does, it upsets me at a deep level. It really does. Is I went to school, when I went to college the first time, which I went for illustration. Actually, I was just talking about, I just got my diploma 20-something years later, finished my degree program, which is an indicator of how good a student I was. But in any event, I went, I was in there, my major was illustration. So I was in art school and illustration. And some of the people that I was there with, let me put it like this, their abilities made me want to just stop and not bother because they were so good. And I'm sure this experience is the same for anybody who's a creative, who, if you are fortunate enough to be able to go to school for it and be around others who are creative, you will inevitably find at least a few people who are, at least in your opinion, far better than you. That will then make you question why you're even going, because these people are so much better. And that's a typical thing, and it's just a nature or a byproduct of not appreciating your own work properly and not being able to step back. I just had this. I just did a painting because my wife and I do Bob Ross paintings every weekend. And the painting that I did, the first one I did, I actually just destroyed it. I took the paintbrush and I just annihilated it. I really did. I was so pissed at how it came out. I don't know how else to put it. That I wrecked it. I got very angry. I pulled a Michelangelo and I shredded I didn't shred it literally, the canvas. I saved it because we can paint over it. But I just took my brush and I just wiped it out. And then I tried it again, and I really didn't like the second result when I did it. And, you know, I told my wife at one point, I'm like, just paint over it in black. Because what we do is, paintings we really don't like, you can reuse the canvases by painting over them with black acrylic, because we're using oil paint. So you let it dry for a little bit, and then you just paint over it with a couple of coats of black, and it becomes like one of those paintings that they find sometimes in art museums, and they realize that there's multiple layers, because, you know, all artists are crazy. So, you know, I'm not the first person to paint something and hate it and therefore paint over it to then paint something that would hopefully be better. But in any event, the one that I didn't smear, I got to a certain point and it just wasn't going the way I wanted to. And I finally got very, very frustrated about it. And I said, okay, just paint over it. And then I looked at it later and I liked it a lot better. Also, something I tell lots of people is, you know, if you're upset about something, step away from it for a couple hours and then go look at it after you haven't looked at it in a while. And a lot of times it's not as bad as you thought. Anyway, the way this relates back to college, sorry, I think I was kind of branching off from there, is I went to school with these people. Just gifted people, talented people, great people, whose work I would look at and think, oh, okay, yeah, that's going to hang in a museum. This is, you know, not everybody, you know, there were people of better or lesser. I would put myself probably at middle of the pack at best. I mean, if we're just being frank about it, I'm not a great artist, but I also know that I have some ability. If I can get the thing going the right way, I can do something. You know, obviously I'm sitting here drawing eyeballs and, you know, it's not nothing. Somebody likes eyeballs, I'm sure. But, you know, some of these people were just high caliber. Really, 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 really good at what they were doing. And you look at these people and you're sure, and this is 22-year-old me who doesn't know anything about anything and is still half stupid, and, you know, and I went, wow, well, you know, XYZ, those people, the next time I see their names, it's going to be because they're having a gallery opening or they've sold their work on something or whatever. Hold on, comment. I think you're pretty good in part of that. That is handling your command. I said, how do you... Well, I appreciate that. That's kind of what I'm the whole thing that I'm getting at. That's the reason I tell people, you know, and I say to my wife too, because she gets very frustrated with stuff that she paints. I'm like, just step back for a minute. Step back. Don't look at it for a little bit, because oh, I almost muted my microphone. Whoops. It probably is better than you think. But and this is what I mean about, you know, the way you see things and the way things are very different. And these people, when I actually checked in on some of them, you know, year, 2 years, 3 years later, some of them just, they weren't working in the art world at all. And I just thought, and some of them had just kind of given up on it because they tried really hard, couldn't make it. And they just took it so badly, were so rejected by the fact, dejected by rejection, there's some English, that they just stopped. And that's so sad to me because, you know, I went through a spell like that, or a phase like that, or whatever you want to call it, where I wasn't really producing any artwork for a long time because I went, you know what? And because I wasn't making any money at it. And there was a point where I was like, screw it. Why? What am I doing this for? What am I putting all the work in for? Nobody's ever going to see it. Nobody's going to care. It's pointless. What am I wasting my time for? I'll learn to play the piano or something else. And I did that I had that mentality for probably 3 or 4 years. And then I don't really remember what turned it around. Maybe it probably was, at least, I found, for example, my day job. Where else I can play guitar? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean. I have to seriously not think about that a lot, because it really will depress me. It really will. It will bum me out for a whole day if I really think about the fact that these people, that, we prioritize the wrong things in our cultures. We really do. We don't focus enough on, again, I'm just going to speak for the United States. I don't know how it is other places. I can't speak for the entire world. I don't have enough of a background to do that, so it would be unfair. So I'm going to say it like this. At least in this country, the focus becomes what makes you the most money. What the things that we value are the wrong things. Instead of, if somebody has a talent, how can we make that talent? How can we allow that person to utilize their talent and ability, something that they want to enjoy and will be passionate about, and how do we get them into a position where they can use that? That's what we should do. And I know that's hippy-dippy, new age crap, and people will say, oh, what planet are you on? That's not how the world works. I know it's not how the world works, but I can want it to work that way, because then I think people will be a lot happier. If we could get people into roles and positions where they could thrive and flourish and feel fulfillment and accomplishment, and that doesn't have to be something creative. Don't misunderstand. Yeah, no, that's why I wanted to make sure I amended my comment to say, okay, well, I'm just going to speak for the United States, because other countries do place a better premium on art and creation. So that's why I immediately went, all right, stop for a second and clarify that you're talking about the U.S., because it is not like this everywhere. There are much better examples of appreciating artists. Yes, it is a damn shame. Because I think a lot of, when you think about how many people end up spending most, if not their entire lives, doing work that they have zero interest in, but have to because that's the only way they can literally survive. That's the world we want to be in, I guess. I don't think it is. I think too often we accept that. And, what are you going to do about it? This is one of those cases where things are just the way that they are, because they've been that way forever, and there's a very real fear among many people about shaking anything up because they're afraid. No, I agree. I really do try to do that. That's what I talk about when I... Yeah. No, I agree. I'm with you there. I absolutely am. That's why, as bad as Twitter is for a lot of people, I try to use Twitter as a positive force, and I try to spotlight people in a positive way, as opposed to whining and complaining about some fictional character on a show that I don't know anything about. You can be a fan without being a bad fan. So, but I know I'm in the minority, I think, of the larger opinion about Twitter. So, and who knows what Twitter will look like a year from now, depending on who owns it and what they're doing with it. So we'll see. But I will migrate to something else if that happens. There are many, many, many other places. But yeah, I that is one of those things. I so remember that from like the last week of college, where we did our senior projects, and basically we set up a mini gallery for everybody. And you want to talk about how bad a student I was. My senior project, the senior project for that year, was you were supposed to do illustrations. Mine, what I did, there were different themes, and mine was that I wanted to do illustrations that showcased artists that I found inspirational and that incorporated the works they did that I found the most impressive, or that I really attached to. And it had to be, I believe, 12 to 15 pieces was the requirement. And I don't remember what day it was, but on not the day before, yes, the day before. As of the day before, we had to have our pieces submitted. I think I had 4 done. And Lando, my co-host, remembers this because we went to school together. And maybe I'll bring it up in the next show that I actually think of it on. But I was up all night on caffeine and I'm sure candy bars, whatever sugar was available, racing to get those other 8 pieces done. And I did it. I actually managed to do all. I mean, you want to talk about the stupidest way to do a final project. That's got to be right up there. I mean, it has to be. It got done, and I actually got I don't have my transcript in front of me. I had it. I think I got a B plus or a A minus or something, which is extraordinary for how fast I did that. I mean, oh boy. To go back, there's one of those examples where if I had a time machine and I could go back and find myself at points in time, what I would spend most of my trips doing is slapping myself around for being so stupid. Because, why would I? I'm talking to myself in the abstract here. Why was I so stupid? Because I was a moron. Because I was young and I thought I knew everything and I thought I was invincible and, stupid. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, so that last day, because we had the gallery thing. I have the same story. I did extra credit writing essay in 2 minutes. Yeah, well, I mean, that is sort of the funny part about it, right, though? Because you did it fast, and so did I. Obviously, there was enough talent there for something to be done. It's more of where you look back and go, why wouldn't you just do it the right way? You had all this time. It's something you enjoyed doing. Why didn't you? But I was a terrible student. I mean, I was not built for education the way that I should have been. I shouldn't even say built. I just was a bad student. I was just a really crappy student because there's a plus and a minus to being in a place where you have no responsibility and somebody else is footing the bill. There's a real danger when those things are both true at the same time. And that's what it was. Although I can't even necessarily blame it all on that because I paid for my last year of college, so I wasted my own money. That's the one I was paying the loan back on for years and years and years. So really, I was just a fool to myself. But yeah, I mean, it's a common story. We're all dumb when we're younger. It's, there's very few people who have actual maturity and self-awareness when they're young. Yeah, no, it's true. It's, you're not wrong. There are exceptional people who, man, they will just work at it constantly, and it does pay off. Although I wonder sometimes if there's a cost to that too, because there is a balance that I think you need to have where, and again, maybe this goes back to the idea of not giving creators the right avenues, is you really shouldn't have to work yourself to death almost to be successful. That doesn't seem like yeah, exactly, you become Kanye. You're right. And it doesn't seem like a very healthy way for anybody to operate. I mean, it was, I was on a thing earlier when we were talking about, there was a discussion being had about, digital disconnection and, taking a break from being connected to everything. And it's the same type of thing there. Too much of anything. And that includes work. That work builds character scam, yeah, I've never bought into that. I'm not saying people should be lazy, but that whole thing where, work builds character. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You shouldn't have to knock yourself to pieces to be successful. I don't buy that. I'm sorry, I don't. It doesn't have to be that way. There are better ways. You should be able to be successful without having to drive yourself to the edge of madness for it, or exhaustion, or sickness, or illness, or whatever. So, I don't believe hard work builds character. I think the people that you're around build character. I think that your values build character, not if you make yourself collapse from busting rocks all day. If hard work built character, every person they put in the rock yard of the prison would come out as a saint, and we know that doesn't happen. Although let's not start on the penal colony and how we treat people in there, because we don't want to be on a 4-hour stream of dissecting the criminal justice system. That's not what this stream is for. We try to keep things on a lighter note. But yeah, I remember that senior, whatever we called it. I think it was just called senior project, but that gallery day and looking around and being like, man, these people are going to be, I will be able to say I knew this person when they were not somebody. Then you walk out the door of the college. Although I will give, I know I've said this before too, got to give that the professor of the, actually, what was he? Yeah, the person who was in charge of the senior project. I will give him credit. The first day of the class that I was in with him, he said, hey, everybody, news for you. You're probably not going to make a living at this. So at least he was honest. Because he could have, sold us a line about, hey, do good in my class and you'll be working artists who are going to make a lot of money. No, he didn't do that. He was very frank about where things were going. How long have I been doing? Oh, yeah, this is almost an hour. Yeah, no wonder my hand's starting to go on me. We'll finish up a couple more things. But this has been a fun stream, I will say. I got to do basically a live tweet and answer, which I have not done before. Got to reminisce about how bad I am in college. I think I've done that before. Talk about how stupid a student I was. I'm pretty sure I've done that before. But, 2 images in one stream, technically. That's a first. But, I don't even remember what I was saying a second ago. I have no attention span of a gerbil with ADHD, I guess. I must have some kind of something like ADHD. I've got to. The way I jump around in my stuff certainly would indicate it. But yeah, that's what it was, the professor being honest. Yeah, I have to say I respected him for that. Because, that could have lost you some people right there. You're never going to make any money at this, just so you know. Boy, I remember that. The room was quiet for a few minutes after that. I mean, I think all of us kind of knew that it wasn't going to be easy, but to have somebody just come out and lay it down like that. Yep. He was a good artist, too, that professor. I mean, all of them were. There was another guy that I really liked. I mean, he was such a hippie, though. He would always end his sentences by basically pushing his volume down. So he'd say, we're going to draw the figure. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring a model and you're going to draw them. And I want you to use just charcoal on this piece. You do that, right? And it's in a class with art classes typically don't have a podium and a microphone. So when a guy is sending his sentences like this, then it sort of makes it hard as the person listening to really know what he's saying. But he did it all the time. And it was an endearing trait, but not a great one for learning. But honestly, that was mostly just drawing nude people, so it was okay. He didn't really have to say much. It was more of, okay, here's the person. The person's going to pose. Now draw them. And what medium it would be. So honestly, he wasn't doing a lot of lecturing. It was fine. But yes, I always thought that was very funny. I had multiple teachers who had what I wouldn't call ideal ways of communicating. And maybe that's because they were artists first and teachers second. And some people just do not have that particular skill. It was fine. I never had a bad art teacher in college, I have to say, which is probably pretty remarkable. I don't know if everybody can say that. I always had good teachers in college. But yes, funny how many of them didn't really have a good command of speaking. Or at least not a very clear way of expressing themselves. You would think that might be something, but I guess not. I guess if it's art ability, then do they really need to be able to speak clearly? Probably just, oh, look at that. I missed a line. Holy crap. I missed one. Huh. Well, we'll soften that out right there. There we go. Okay, where are we? Here we are. So yeah, it's fine. I didn't really care. And I think what we'll do is I will finish out this eyeball line-wise, and then I think we will wrap this. Oh, I missed another. Oh, I must have missed this. I missed this whole eyeball. That's what happened. Okay, so that's okay. I can fix that easily enough. I clearly was not seeing that when I did it the last time. That's okay. Yeah, we'll finish this up. And then I think I will end the stream for this evening to preserve. Don't want to end up with a bad hand cramp. That's no fun for a couple days. Okay, so this is the state of our eyeballs. So we'll do more cleanup on the next one, I think, because there's not much left. Not much for cleanup, and then we'll get into the kind of, start really blocking in these dark areas and get stuff going here. So in any event, I want to thank you all for stopping by, chatting, and bearing through my inadvertent midstream tweenering and terrible stories. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here and tell you to have a wonderful Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning, depending on your time zone and location or whatever. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, late night, very, very early morning, whatever it is. And we'll talk to you on the next stream. All right, everybody. Good night, morning, whatever it is. Talk to you later.